We all have a voice inside our heads. Buddhists refer to this mental chatter as the monkey mind, a relentless monkey swinging branch to branch, fort to fort. Michael A. Singer, in his book The Untethered Soul, refers to it as your inner roommate. But regardless of what we call it, the result is always the same. It is rarely constructive. You are distracted. You fall victim to your vices. You seek out constant stimulation and you feel exhausted because of it. You are a slave to your thoughts and feelings, both positive and negative. But let's be honest here, mostly negative. My goal with this video is to share with you, my friend, the only technique I have learnt after years of meditating and after reading a variety of books that actually helped me to tame the monkey and to quiet the roommate. And if you actually practice what I'm about to tell you, your state of mind will become one of focus, control, stillness, and you'll have a quiet confidence. But before we get to that, I need to tell you a little story because it is very important to set the right expectations. Otherwise, you will fail. The technique won't work. And worst of all, you will remain where you are. And I know you don't want that because you clicked on this video after all. So I started to meditate 6 years ago, but I started for the wrong reasons. I wanted to get more out of myself. I wanted to stop all thinking, to be more productive, to eliminate all negative thoughts and feelings. But with these expectations set, I found myself getting frustrated because I wasn't able to achieve them. And that frustration made consistency at the beginning a lot more difficult than it needed to be. I didn't realize my problem until I did 2 things. The first was following the basics course in the Headspace app. Now I had a teacher, a mentor that could show me their learnings after they had practiced as a monk. And the second thing was reading a book called The Resilience Project. Now, the author, Hugh, tells a story about a time that he visited a remote school in the northern part of India. And at this school, each morning begins with a meditation session, and that every student in the school chose to attend. The East just knew something about human nature that the West didn't, or at least forgotten. If you have ever read a Eckhart Tolle book, and I probably wouldn't recommend it, then you would know just how much this man loves the present moment. We experience 100% of our lives in the present, and yet we find ourselves thinking about the past or contemplating the hypothetical future. Just imagine how much you're missing out on. So when we meditate, our only intention is to be present, to be here in this present moment. And by doing this, you will learn a lot about yourself, and you will feel more connected to our little blue world. But there is one big obstacle getting in our way, and Dr. K from The Healthy Gamer has a very nice way of putting it.
It's amazing what you can learn if you sit with yourself. The challenge for a lot of people is that there is so much negativity in there that it can feel overwhelming.
Sitting with yourself is an unbelievably uncomfortable experience.
Yeah. And there's a beautiful sort of apocryphal story, like a mythology story in the Hindu tradition about this churning of the ocean. And at the bottom of the ocean, there was like some kind of nectar or ambrosia or some sort of divine substance. But the whole point is that when they started churning the ocean to try to get to it, poison came up first. And so there's a really cool kind of perspective from the yogic tradition that anytime you want to find gold within you, or anytime you want to find nectar or amrut, you're going to find poison first. So the pathway to finding inner peace involves going through poison.
So this video is really about the technique that's helped me get through that poison. And that technique is called noting. So I want you to imagine you're a frog sitting on a rock. As you sit there following your breath, you begin to notice flies drift into your awareness. And your instinct as a frog is to catch each fly. You will feel the urge to do this for every fly that comes by, but the goal of noting isn't to catch the flies. It's only to be aware that the fly is there. You can sit there, observing what is happening, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of curiosity. And then whether you want to engage with it or not is your choice. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, you'll quickly notice how often you'll get lost in the flies. And each time that happens, note that fly, thinking, feeling, and you can become more specific if you want to. But each time you get distracted, bring yourself back to that place of awareness, back to the breath, back to the sounds of the room, or back to the feeling of your feet on the ground as you walk. That's right, meditation doesn't need to be you sitting on the ground cross-legged. You can go for a walk or some other slow, intentional activity, like yoga. I have found noting to be a useful exercise because it positions me as the person in control, but with a very big caveat. You see, I cannot control what flies drift into my awareness, but I can control what my response is to each fly. When I have a sudden urge to scroll social media, when I have a craving for a chocolate chip cookie, when an excuse pops into my head about why I shouldn't do something like going to the gym, when I get wrapped up in a story that isn't constructive to anything, I'm sure you know what I mean. I can pause and think, what do I really want to do here? Rest or gym? Entertainment or work? The cookie or nothing? Focus or wandering thought? And if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, sometimes I choose the easier option. And I'm here to tell you, bro, that's okay. There's a time to rest. There's a time to eat that cookie. There's a time to watch some entertainment. There is a time to get lost in thought. These things are okay. Because the reality is, the more restrictive you are, the more temptation you're going to feel. When you are fixated on that one fly, staring it down, thinking, I can't eat that fly, I can't eat that fly, I can't eat that fly, what do you think is going to happen? Your tongue is going to extend right out your mouth and smack that fly in the butt. You are going to eat ass. And then what happens? You feel terrible. You feel like you lost. And worst of all, your brain learns exactly what flies it needs to send in to get you to do that thing, making resisting a lot more difficult in the future. So the key lesson here is fighting your demons is not the answer. This seems paradoxical, doesn't it? And the answer is a rather scary one. You need to surrender. You need to allow yourself to feel those annoying flies crawling across your skin, prying at your wounds. You need to feel it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's painful. Allow yourself to surrender. There is no way to avoid the poison. And to get better at going through the poison, you need to do more uncomfortable things. You need exposure therapy. Now, I practice this in several ways, but I'm going to tell you about one in particular. As you guys know, I take a cold shower every single morning. And when I step into the cold, I can tense my body. I can try to fight it, but I know that effort is futile. No matter what I feel, the temperature of that water is not going to change. The only thing I'll be achieving is shortening my breaths and putting myself in a more anxious state. So instead, I surrender. I let my body soften and I feel the coldness consume me. I center myself and bring myself to my breathing. I am calm. I am still. I feel connected. This is a place that you want to be in as much as possible. Just imagine the confidence you have in yourself, knowing that when a fly crawls across your skin, you can look at it, note it, and then go about your day like nothing happened. Truly realize what this means. Your thoughts and feelings no longer have any influence over you. You are completely free. So I hope all that made sense. But let's put this practice into actionable steps. And we'll do this in 2 ways. The first is through intentional activity. So I want you to pick an activity that you enjoy, something that is slow and kind of boring. Just make sure that it's in a quiet place where you won't be distracted. When you do this activity, inhale through your nose, feel your stomach expand in all directions, and hold it. Then gently release the air back through your nose. Repeat this and follow the breath. Notice what flies come into your awareness. And when you find yourself getting distracted, note that fly for what it is. Busyness, frustration. Then come back to the breath, to your surroundings, to the feeling of your feet on the ground, and repeat this until you are satisfied. Now, having 30 minutes or so of intentional activity where you practice this is great, but what really matters is how you spend the other 930 waking minutes you have in a day. So we need to build in the moment awareness. To do this, you need to look for opportunities to practice. For example, when you are working on a task and you instinctively reach for your phone for a little quick distraction, hold it, pause, take a deep breath, and allow your body to soften. Often that little pause, that little moment in time is enough for you to refocus and decide exactly what you want to do. In many cases, it's putting the phone back down. In this example, you are not restricting yourself from your phone. You're creating space for that feeling to exist. And then from a place of intention, you can decide what exactly you're going to do next. Repeat these steps when you see dirty dishes in the sink, when you don't feel like going to the gym, when you desire that cookie. In my experience, all I need to do is pause, take a deep breath, let my body soften, and then decide, what am I going to do next? And 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to the gym. I'm doing the dishes. I'm not eating that cookie. It's all practice. But I have realized that noting does not help in times of crisis. When things really go sideways, if you're anything like me, noting puts you in a bit of a cycle. And frankly, it's exhausting. So in these times, I deploy a different technique. But that will be for another video. But for now, as always, I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.